Hey Cardano, I'm fallen-icarus. The prototype for the peer-to-peer DeFi wallet is finally done. It is the first universal Cardano wallet. That means it's a wallet with DeFi functionality built right in. You don't need to send your assets to other front ends, to other escrow contracts in order to interact with Cardano's DeFi. It is all right here in this one wallet. If that isn't enough to interest you, this wallet also has a transaction builder. Think of it like an online shopping cart. You shop around for your different DeFi actions, your normal wallet actions like changing your stake pool delegation, and you just click add to cart. When you're ready to check out, you can do all of those actions in one transaction. Being able to do everything in one transaction saves you 10 to 100 times the transaction fees than if you had to do them in separate transactions. This wallet does all of this without smart contract account abstractions. It is just you build the transaction yourself and sign it. The extended eUTxO model enables you to fit 10 to 15 different dApps in one transaction. The account model is too expensive to do that, yet none of the Cardano dApps or wallets are actually taking advantage of this. The potential of the extended eUTxO model is currently being wasted. This demo is meant to showcase exactly what you can do when you take full advantage of the extended eUTxO model. My goal with this video is that once you see this wallet, you can't unsee it. Just keep in mind, this is still just a prototype. It's not going to be as fast or have the same bells and whistles that the current Cardano wallets have. The wallet is a single executable file right here. It looks just like the Ledger Live or the Trezor Suite, and you can just double click it to open it. So the testnet is the pre-production testnet. Since this is peer-to-peer, I didn't think it made sense to have people split up across the two testnets, so I deliberately only added support for the pre-production testnet so everybody will be on the same testnet and they can trade together. All of the functionality that you'll see is the same across the mainnet and testnet. The mainnet currently has the DeFi capabilities disabled because they have not been audited yet. So for now, though, I'll just use the testnet. So when you click on the testnet, you can create a profile. Profiles are a way of organizing your wallets. I already have a profile set up. So you have on the left side, you have your main menu. The home page is your personal address. So you can see the address here, the hash. This address does not have a staking credential, but you can switch to other addresses. This one does have a staking credential. And the idea here is that you can actually see the UTXOs in your address, and you can pick which UTXOs to spend. So there are buttons like this paper airplane, where if you click it, it will add that UTXO to the builder. So now there's a red dot by the builder over here, and it's now planning to spend this UTXO, and it's waiting for you to complete the actions necessary to build the transaction. So there's a lot you can do here. You could see your native assets. You could see your transaction history. And then you have a staking page to manage your staking credentials. Like you have the stake delegation. You also have DREP delegation. While we're here, one of the first things that is unique to this wallet is the fact that you can manage multiple staking credentials in one transaction. You can do multiple actions for that staking credential in the same transaction. So for example, I have this reward balance here. I can withdraw it, just add it to the builder. I go over to the builder, I can see it here. Go back to staking page. Let's say I don't want to stay delegated to this pool. I can change it. Opens the pool picker. Takes a minute to sync all of the current pools for the testnet. So let's say I want to change my delegation. I just click delegate. Successfully add it to builder. So if I go here, it auto corrects the formatting. It's auto updating, so you just gotta be patient. So you have I'm now delegating and withdrawing in the same transaction. If I go back to there, I can do the same thing for another one. So like this one isn't even delegated yet. So I can pick another pool to delegate for this staking credential. So I'm actually managing the multiple staking credentials in one transaction. And again, the thing will autocorrect. You just got to be patient. It's one of the perks of using a prototype. So next is the DEX. This is using cardano-swaps. So you can see the open liquidity swaps. You have some limit orders here. Some of them have been finished and they're waiting for me to close. Each DeFi address is protected by a specific staking credential. You can pick among any of your tracked staking credentials here. So I got 3 here. So if I go back to the DEX and if I wanted to add another one, it will let me pick from any of them that have not been chosen yet. So this is the only one I haven't configured for the DEX yet. So I can switch between the two and I can see the different positions. So you can use different staking credentials to stay organized. So if I go back here, you can check out your position history. This involves all of the transactions for your swaps. So whether you create the swap, when it's closed, when somebody executes it, you can then see them here. So in this transaction, this swap was closed. So then you can trade. I'll use this one. You can go to trade, which trading pair do you want to use? The text boxes are a little laggy. It is a prototype. And then it'll sync the order book for this trading pair. So as you can see, there are some orders already set. These are both the one-way swaps and the two-way swaps. It's just configured like an order book. So you can see you can see the asks up here. You can see the bids down here. And you can easily create a new limit order if you wanted to. You can create a liquidity swap. These are the two-way swaps. Everything has an associated help message. So if you want to know more about it, you can click the help. So let's do a 10 ADA limit order to buy test gen, and I'm going to do 0.32, so it should be between these two here, and I'm going to create that limit order. It does a calculation to see what the minimum eUTxO value is there, so that this deposit is the required minimum eUTxO value for this new limit order. So then I can also go back to the positions and I can close this swap. It's been sitting here for a while, so I just click close. It's successfully added to builder. So if I go back to the builder, now I see I'm creating a new limit order and I'm closing a pre-existing limit order. And again, this is just waiting for me to check out. The next is lending. It's using Cardano-loans. And again, it's protected by a staking credential. So I have all 3 of my staking credentials configured here. You can be a borrower or a lender. They each have their own associated fields here. So for this staking credential, I have some active loans. So for example, I have this loan where the next payment deadline is November 22nd. The outstanding balance is currently 10.5 ADA, and I have some locked collateral here. So let's make a loan payment. So in this, I'm actually going to pay off all of it. And then you can see that 100% of the collateral will now be unlocked. So I can just ignore this field. And down here, you can't really see it, but you can see the confirm button here. Click confirm. It does another calculation. So because I'm paying the lender directly, I do need to cover the minimum eUTxO value. But in this case, the ADA balance that I have to pay covers it. So there's no deposit required there. So I go back to the builder. Now I am making a full loan payment for this staking credential. So you see now I have 6 actions and it's still just waiting for me to check out. The next is options trading. It's using Cardano options. And again, you protect it using a staking credential. I only have 2 here. You can be a writer of options contracts, so a seller, or you could be a buyer of options contracts. So right now I have a couple of contracts that have been offered, but they have not been purchased yet. And actually they've expired already. So I need to close them. Just close one for now. But if you wanted to, you could switch the other one. You could be a buyer and you can look up the options contracts you're interested in and buy them. So if I go to the builder, now there's 7 actions and you can see that I'm closing this options contract here. Some of these actions have this count here, and this actually increases the count of how many copies of this action do you want to repeat. So it's basically for this limit order, if I increase this to 4, it will create 4 limit orders with this exact terms. So that usually doesn't make sense in traditional finance because a limit order is a limit order, but for extended UTXOs, the more UTXOs you create, the more your orders can get processed in parallel. So this is a convenient way of creating multiple copies if you wanted to fractionalize your limit order. Let's put that back to 1. And it's still just waiting for me to check out. So the next thing would be reselling. I don't really have anything to sell right now, but it's using Cardano's aftermarket protocol. Then you have an address book if you wanted to send money to a friend. So I can actually, let's pay Alice 10 ADA. And I'm not going to specify any native assets, but I could there. It was added to builder. So you could see that I'm now also paying Alice. So all of this stuff is ready to be built into one transaction. So I think you can't see it because I'm in the way, but there's also a tool thing down here. And if you wanted to, you can mint test tokens as long as you're on the test net. So I can specify a human readable name. All test tokens need to be specified in hexadecimal, which is not human readable whatsoever. So there's this tool to convert. So if I said Jed and I hit convert, it now switches to that. And then I can create 1,000 copies of this. I can click it and it gets copied to the clipboard, and I can paste it with Control V. So now if I click confirm, if I scroll down here, I'm minting 1,000 copies of this token. So I'm finally ready to check out. I have 9 actions, but up here you could see the status bar. It's missing collateral because I am trying to execute smart contracts. It's not balanced, and I'm missing a change address. So you can click the change info here, and you can see I'm missing 10.2 ADA, but everything else is, I also don't have a change address set, but all the native assets are balanced. So let's go back to home. And I'm missing 10 ADA, so let's just pick the next eUTxO there. And a shortcut to add a change address is once you're under the personal address you want to use, this button here says use for change. And that's it. So I also need to add collateral. So only eUTxOs that do not have native assets can be used as collateral. I think there's also a 5 ADA requirement as well. So I just click that, and now it's being used as collateral. And you can see that the builder now lights up blue. So that means it's ready to be built. So all of this stuff is about to be built into one transaction. So I click build. So the total estimated fee is 1.11 ADA. Despite there being 9 actions in this one transaction, the total fee is 1.1 ADA. Think about that. So let me turn my camera back on. Once it's built, you can actually see a few more things. So for example, in this bottom left, you can see all of the required signatures. These are watched keys. So this wallet actually supports hardware wallets and cold wallets. So for example, as you can see here, you could export the transaction, and then under the tools, hide myself again, you can submit an external transaction. So if you wanted to, you can use the builder as like a window into your cold wallet. It can see all of your eUTxOs, and you can use them to build a transaction. You can export it, go to your air-gapped computer or wherever, you could sign it there and then bring it back and submit it through this wallet. So this tells you which keys need to sign. And also, if you're extra paranoid, you can actually see the exact transaction that was built. Let me minimize this for a second and open up the terminal. And depending on your operating system, it should be in your temporary, your operating system's temporary directory. So I'm on Linux, so it should be temp. And then there's a subdirectory, P2P. What's in there? These are all of the files that were used aside from the Cardano BMP file. That's the actual image that is shown at the bottom here. So these are the files that were used to create the transaction, and there's this builder log file. So if you look at that, P2P wallet, builder log, this giant thing here that doesn't even fit on screen, minimize that, is the actual transaction that just got built. And you can see this entire file are the exact commands that were used to build this specific transaction. So you got the certificates for the staking. It creates a first transaction, a dummy transaction, so that it can get the budget estimations. It then uses those budget estimations and puts them in so that it can calculate the transaction fee here. And it actually calculates the transaction fee twice, just in case inserting the fee actually changes the fee. That has happened to me a few times. But this final command here, this large thing, If you copy pasted this into the terminal, you should get the exact same tx.body file that the wallet did. So the builder log is a way for you to actually audit what it is you're building. So in this situation, I am only using cold keys. The keys here are only watched keys. That is because there's currently a bug that doesn't allow hardware wallets to sign anything aside from cardano-swaps. So if you have lending options or aftermarket in this builder, you're just not going to be able to sign with it. So for now, I do need to use the watched keys. So I can export. I'll pick a directory path. So I can specify, it has to be an absolute path, but you're able to use shortcuts. And you can see like what shortcuts are supported looking at the help message. Click confirm. Successfully executed. Once the transaction file has been exported, you should be able to see, so it should be here, and there it is. So to sign with it, you need to sign with the keys that are specified by the wallet. So here, so there are 3 keys. You need to make sure that you sign with the exact number of required keys because the fee is precisely calculated to the number of required fees. So if you sign with 4 keys when it needs 3, the fee will actually be too small. So there's a command here. You're going to use Cardano CLI. You have to specify Conway because that's the current era, transaction sign. And you have to specify the signing key file for each of the keys. So these are the keys for this specific transaction, and you have testnet magic for the pre-production testnet. Obviously, you shouldn't have the keys just exposed like this, but this is just for a demo. So sign it, and now if I look, there's a tx.signed file. So we can now go back to the wallet, and if I hide myself, you can see the submit external tx. So we come back, and you just type in the absolute path again. So tx.signed. It's a little laggy, spelled that way. And confirm. Submitting the transaction, and that's it. This is the actual transaction that has all 9 of those actions. If you look this up on the pre-production testnet, you should see that. So after you've submitted the transaction, you can resync the wallet. This wallet is a passive wallet. It doesn't resync after every 5 minutes or so. You have to click these refresh buttons. Pretty much every page has this button, and it will resync for all of them. So it only takes about a minute, maybe 2 minutes to sync. Depends on how many addresses you actually have configured. So as you can see, the wallet actually has built-in notifications. So it can tell you what's changed since the last time you synced. So we can go to the news, and you can see these are actually only a subset of the notifications you should have seen for that last transaction. Unfortunately, there was a bug in the formatting of this thing. So this is just, there are certain things that every time you sync, for example, if you have any fully converted swaps that you need to close, or if you have any expired loans, expired offers, these will appear every time you sync until you actually close them. So the things that have changed since last time are not appearing here, unfortunately, because of that bug. So this concludes the demo. This was not a tutorial. Obviously, there's still a lot that was missed, but I hope you can now see that this wallet is nothing like what currently exists, and the extended eUTxO model has a lot of potential that's just not being taken advantage of in Cardano. If you like this video, share it with your friends. I'm going to be working on the tutorials over the next few weeks. If you're feeling adventurous and you want to try out the wallet before the tutorials come out, you can go to my GitHub, and there's a peer-to-peer wallet repo, and under the dev branch is this. So you can see the installation instructions of how to get it working, installing from source. In the future, there will be where you can just download the executable itself. But for now, the documentation only shows how to build it from source.